Hey, I'm Jeff Baxter. I'm the next generation pastor at Mission Hills Church here in Littleton, Colorado, and I get the honor to be able to impact the next generation and those that are coming up in ministry so they can love Jesus with all their hearts. Hey, I'm starting this new YouTube channel because two things coming together for me, two passions. One is leading trips to Israel to help the Bible go from black and white to color. My wife and I love leading trips to Israel. We'd love to have you be on one of our trips coming up. If you're interested at all, go ahead and contact me. But the other thing I'm passionate about is the Bible and having Israel and the Bible come together to help you grow in your relationship with Jesus as you study the Bible. And so there are just so many things when you go to Israel that come to life that you didn't probably know before. But all of a sudden you start paying attention to places and directions and maps and distances. And so in this short YouTube video, I just want to explain two things and give you a couple of examples. Number one is places. Places are so important in the Bible and in Israel. And the second thing we're going to talk about briefly is directions. Directions, you may not know it, but don't quite mean maybe what you thought they meant. So I want to look at, first of all, places. I want to give you an example of a place where you may not have connected all the dots, because what happens is we read the Bible and we read Jerusalem and we blow past that. Oh, Jerusalem, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Or we read Cana. Jesus went there and did the first miracle, turning water into wine in a wedding, and we just blow past that. We have no idea where Canaan is on the map or where Jerusalem is in relationship to everything else. And so we just see news clips today and not put the parts together. So I want to give you an example. This is a significant example. The first time I went to Israel, even though I'd been to seminary, I didn't connect the dots on everything. And so we got the honor, which doesn't always happen, for us to go up on the top of the Dome of the Rock. We got to go to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. That's the famous golden dome that you see in all the pictures in Israel, and you see when you see a picture of Jerusalem, you see the Dome of the Rock, the gold dome. That's the Temple Mount. What you might not know is what the gold dome covers up. Well, it covers up Mount Moriah. And if you do a little word study in your Bibles about Mount Moriah, it goes way back to the book of Genesis. I just want to give you a few examples of Mount Moriah. Mount Moriah is the place where Abraham would bring Isaac for sacrifice. That's the same place. It's the same place in Genesis chapter 22 when Abraham takes Isaac to offer him as a sacrifice because that's what God told him to do. And God would provide another sacrifice, and ultimately that would be a foreshadowing of Jesus coming to die on the cross for the forgiveness of sins. Mount Moriah. Fast forward, then David becomes king. And he buys a threshing floor from a foreign god for 600 shekels. In 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 25, David buys that same spot on Mount Moriah. Then David would eventually bring the Ark of the Covenant to Mount Moriah, and Solomon would build a temple. Do you know where? On Mount Moriah at the same spot. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 11. Solomon would build the temple there, and tradition says that the cornerstone of the temple near the Holy of Holies would be where the same place that David would have bought, the same place that Abraham brought Isaac to be sacrificed. And then you fast forward, where was Jesus crucified? Near Mount Moriah. Some would argue on Mount Moriah. Right there at Golgotha, where the rock stands out that looks like a skull. Mount Moriah. See, if you do a little Bible study and do a little tracking and do a little research and do a little history on places like Mount Moriah, all of a sudden it just all connects together and it just increases your faith and your love for Jesus. So places are really important for you to look at. The second thing I want to talk about in this YouTube video, bringing Israel and the Bible together, is directions. Directions. You might not have noticed this before, but directions don't always mean what you think they mean in the Bible. When we say go up to a place, we think of north, or go down to a place, we think of south. But let me give you an example. In John chapter 2, Jesus has just come off of doing the first miracle in Cana. where he turns the water into wine at that wedding. And here's what it says in John chapter 2, verse 11. This, the first of his miraculous signs, Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. So we know that Cana is in Galilee. He thus revealed his glory, and his disciples put their faith in him. What happens next? After this, he went down to Capernaum. What's interesting about that is down to Capernaum from Cana is northeast. So down, wait, that's northeast is up, right? Well, not exactly, because that was 11 miles that he walked from Cana to Capernaum, and he's going at northeast. So when it says he went down to, that must mean Cana is an elevation higher than Capernaum. And it's true, because Capernaum is right next to the Sea of Galilee, and the Sea of Galilee is below sea level. And so he went down. So don't be tricked. It's elevation we're talking about. But it doesn't end there. He says he went down to Capernaum with his mother and brothers and his disciples, and there they stayed for a few days. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, Jesus would head to Jerusalem. Jesus went up to Jerusalem. He went up to Jerusalem. Well, Capernaum is around the Sea of Galilee, and Jerusalem is south of that whole area, but it says he went up to Jerusalem. Are you confused yet? So he went from Cana to Capernaum, northeast direction, 11 miles, and it's down in elevation. And then it says he's going south, but he's going up to Jerusalem because Jerusalem is higher in elevation. So when you read directions in the Bible, don't assume we're going north, south, east, west. You need to look a little bit deeper and realize that maybe it's elevation. Well, most of the time it's talking about elevation. Going up to Jerusalem is going up in elevation towards Jerusalem. So when you're reading the Bible and you're bringing Israel together, pay attention to places. Places have history, deep history. Do a little rabbit trail Bible study to go explore that place. And also pay attention to directions, because directions don't always mean what you think they mean. I hope that really helps you as you study the Bible even this week. Have a great day.